Hymns of the Samaveda, Kanda 1, Prapathaka 1, Ardha 2. Dasata 1121. Agni goes up to 8. Be God who giveth wealth, accept your full libation, poured to him, pour ye it out, then fill the vessel full again, for so the God regardeth you. Let Brahmanaspati come forth, let Sundrita the goddess come, and gods bring to our right, which yields a fivefold gift, the hero, lover of mankind. Stand up erect to lend us aid, stand up like Savitar the god, erect as strength bestower when we call on thee with priests who balm our offerings. The man who bringeth gifts to thee, bright God, who fain wouldst lead to wealth, winneth himself a brave son, Agnes skilled in lauds, one prospering in 1,000 ways, with hymns and holy eulogies. We supplicate your Agni, Lord, of many families who duly serve the gods, yea, him whom others too inflame. This Agni is the Lord of great prosperity and hero strength, of wealth with noble offspring, and with store of kine, the Lord of battles with the foe. Thou, Agni, art the homestead's lord, our Hotar priest at sacrifice, Lord of all boons, thou art the Potar, passing wise, pay worship and enjoy the good. We as thy friends have chosen thee, mortals a god to be our help, the water's child, the blessed, the most mighty one, swift conqueror and without a peer. And ultimate divinity, as much as some of the qualities have entities that manifest those qualities in the material world, well, there's no comparable to ultimate divinity. And certainly some of the forces compared to each layer of the hierarchy above it, it's like, how can we compare? Dasata 1122. Agni. 10 verses. Present oblations, make him splendid. Set ye as Hotar in his place, the home's lord, worshipped with gifts and homage. Where they pour libations, honor him, meet for reverence in our houses. Verily wondrous is the tender youngling's growth, who never draweth nigh to drink his mother's milk, as soon as she who hath no udder bore him, he faring on his great errand suddenly grew strong. Here is one light for thee, another yonder, enter the third, and therewith united. Beautiful be thy union with the body, beloved in the gods' sublimest birthplace. For Jatavedas, worthy of our praise, we will frame with our mind this eulogy as 'twere a car. For good in his assembly is this care of ours. Let us not in thy friendship, Agni, suffer harm. Agni Maesvanara, born in course of order, the messengers of earth, the head of heaven, the sage, the sovereign, guest of men, our vessel fit for their mouth, the gods have generated, even as the waters from the mountain riches, so sprang the gods through lauds from thee, O Agni. To thee speed hymns and eulogies, as horses haste, bearing him who loves the song to battle. When to protect you, Rudra, lord of worship, priest of both worlds, effectual sacrificer, Agni, invested with his golden colors, before the thunder strike and lay you senseless. The king whose face is decked with oil is kindled with homage offered by his faithful servant. The men, the priests, adore him with oblations. Agni hath shone forth at the flush of morning. Agni advanceth with his lofty banner through earth and heaven. The bull hath loudly bellowed. He hath come nigh from the sky's farthest limit. The steer hath waxen in the water's bosom. From the two fire sticks have the men engendered with thoughts urged by the hand. The glorious Agni, far seen, with pointed flame, lord of the homestead. And there are places that are more sacred than others, things that are more sacred than others. Sure, ultimate divinity is omnipresent, but that doesn't refute that concept. And if God's omnipresent, can't God designate things of time, space, and matter as Dasata 1123 Agni? 8 verses. Agni is wakened by the people's fuel to meet the dawn, who cometh like a milch cow, like young trees shooting up on high their branches. His flames are mounting to the vault of heaven. Set forth the gleaming one, the song inspirer, not foolish with the foolish fort destroyer, who leadeth with his hymns to thoughts of conquest. Gold bearded, rich, splendid with his armor, thou art like heaven. One form is bright, one holy, like day and night, dissimilar in color. All magic powers thou aidest, self-dependent, auspicious be thy bounty here. O Pushan, as holy food, Agni, to thine invoker, give wealth and cattle, lasting, rich in marvels. To us be born a son, and spreading offspring. Agni, be this thy gracious will to usward, established to fill the juice with vital vigor, giver of wealth, guard of his servant's body, the great priest, born, who knows the clouds, abider with men, is seated in the water's eddy. Let the song honoring the best, with longing honor the Asura's most famous sovereign, the deeds of him, the mighty, deeds like Indra's, the manly one, in whom the folk must triumph. In the two kindling blocks lays Jatavedas, like the well-cherished germ in pregnant women. Agni, who day by day must be entreated by men who watch, provided with oblations. Agni, from days of old thou slayest demons. Never shall Rakshasas in fight overcome thee. Burn up the foolish ones, raw flesh devourers. Let none of them escape thine heavenly arrow. Now, why would the light beings always be victorious over the fire beings? Perhaps they're saying that they're of further dimensions, right? Because a three-dimensional being can reach into a two-dimensional being and wouldn't have to break any of the boundaries on the way. And so would a five-dimensional being ultimately have control over the physical without, it's like the soul doesn't have to tear up the body to operate the body. And, the fire beings would, of course, come from a further hidden place, and perhaps light beings would be a full 7 dimensions in that way of thinking. Dasata 1124 Agni 10 verses. Bring us most mighty splendor thou, Agni, resistless on thy way. Prepare for us the path that leads to glorious opulence and strength. May the brave man If full of zeal he serve and kindle Agnes' flame, duly presenting sacred gifts, enjoy the gods' protecting help. Like bright smoke lifts itself aloft, and far extended shines in heaven. For, pure fire like the sun, thou beamest with thy radiant glow. Thou, Agni, even as Mitra, hast a princely glow of thine own. Bright, active God, thou makest fame increase, like means of nourishment. At dawn let Agni, much beloved, guest of the house, be glorified, in whom the everlasting one all mortals make their offerings blaze. Most moving song by Agnes shine on high, O rich in radiant light, like the chief consort of a king. Riches and strength proceed from thee. Exerting all our strength with thoughts of power, we glorify in speech Agni, your dear familiar friend, the darling guest in every house. His beam hath lofty power of life. Sing praise to Agni, to the god, whom men have set in foremost place, like Mitra for their eulogy. To noblest Agni, friend of man, chief Vritra slayer, have we come, who with Surtarvan, Vriksha's son, in lofty presence is inflamed, born as the loftiest law commands, comrade of those who grew with him, Agni, the sire of Kasyapa, by faith, the mother Manu sage. And we see Agni as mentioning both fire and like all fires, but it's not just the spiritual beings, it's who has taken the side of the spiritual beings, which is part of the reason why you can't just go around attacking people and being the strongest. You definitely have to regard who is favored in a non-material way. Dasata 1125, Agni, 6 verses. We in King Soma place our trust in Agni and in Varuna, the Aditya, Vishnu, Surya, and the Brahman priest. Brahaspati, hence have these men gone up on high and mounted to the heights of heaven. On, conquer on the path by which the Angarasis travelled, to the skies, that thou mayest send us ample wealth. O Agni, we will kindle thee. So for the great oblation, steer, pray heaven and earth to come to us. He runs when one calls after him. This is the prayer of him who prays. He holds all knowledge in his grasp, even as the felly rounds the wheel. Shoot forth, O Agni, with thy flame, demolish them on every side. Break down the Yatudana's strength, the vigor of the Rakshasa. Worship the Vasus. Agni, hear the Rudras and Adityas all, who know fair sacrifices sprung from Manu, scattering blessings down. And when we use some material means, it could be as if it is praying on our behalf or acting in accord as we have acted, addressing ultimate divinity. Just like things are witnesses.